Hello, yogis. I miss you. I miss us all being together. And I've been thinking about you individually often and us as a community a lot. Feeling very, very grateful for all the yoga we've done over these years that have allowed us to develop a practice that stays with us even when we're not on the mat. And I've heard that from many of you many times. All the ways you notice that you respond differently to life because of the depth and the kind of longevity of your yoga practice. So I'm wanting to talk about what do we do? What are our most important tools to ride the waves of our lives, particularly in this changing landscape, or as I call it, the ever-changing landscape, because it seems like just when you think you know, okay, this is how it's going to go, something shifts. And in truth, daily life is more the way than we really, I think, want to admit. We like to kind of behave and imagine that we have a plan and things will go along. But you're in an ever-changing landscape, and I think we're in it together powerfully, as in most people have something significant right now that has shifted, possibly way more than one thing. So I want to return us actually to our basic toolbox, particularly the things that we can use when we're not on the mat, because a lot of our life is spent not on the mat, although I hope you're getting more time on the mat. And the basic toolbox to me is everything from the number one tool, which is breath, to noticing our thoughts using swadhyaya, self-observation, to notice our thoughts and then the effect they have in our body, and to even consider kind of answering those thoughts with perhaps a mantra that is powerful to us. And so I'll talk about that. It might be other tools like your daily walk in the woods, and it's been fun to hear that a lot of people are spending more time in nature than they used to because they have some time. I also am hearing from people who can't really get outside very much and how hard that is on them. And so it's fun to think about other ways that you can connect with nature, even if it's through imagery or sound. So a lot of our tools are not even necessarily what many people consider yoga, but that to me are a part of finding a yogic existence, which is really wholeness. The word yoga means to yoke or to unite, to bind. And we're talking about binding body, mind, and spirit. So how do we do that? How do we find a state of wholeness? How do we re-find it when we sense that we've lost it? And again, I think for each of us, we need to notice what tools are most effective for us, and maybe keep a little journal or note to yourself of what's working so that you remember to use it when you feel that you're getting crispy, crunchy, itchy, contracted. These are all the terms that I like to use that to me often describe my state of unwholeness. So I want to start with breath. It is our most ever-present tool. It's free. It's with us all the time, no matter where we are. We just have to remember to use it. So as a reminder, even though some of us have been working on breath consciously for years and years, I think it's valuable to rethink how the breath happens. We have this lung space that is here, and it's inside of this cage, rib cage. In order for the lungs to expand fully, there's a couple of really important things that need to happen. One is we need to maintain a looseness and a strength capacity through our rib cage so that these intercostals can lift the rib cage out and allow full expansion, side, front, and back. Remember, lungs are in the back too. Secondarily, the really key pieces of the diaphragm is moving downward when we inhale. If we're just chest breathing, maybe because nature of the life we've lived, we've become kind of a shallow chest breather, then we are not engaging the diaphragm fully as it's meant to be. And that means that our nervous system is not going to be in a happy, whole, and resilient place. So our number one way to affect our nervous system immediately is to change our breath. So a reminder, when we inhale, the breath is coming in, the diaphragm draws down. It actually expands the breath down into that lower lobe of the lung, which is why our abdomen needs to come out. If we're breathing in such a way that the abdomen is staying really tight and contracted, we're never going to be getting that abdominal breath that we want. Once that lower lobe of the lung is filled, it rises and rises. I think of it sometimes as like a well filling, so you can use imagery if that helps. And then eventually that last part of our breath rises up into the clavicle space. So those of us who've practiced Dirga Pranayama or 3-part breathing, that's essentially what I'm talking about, is these 3 zones: this lower abdomen, the diaphragmatic kind of space through here, and then this clavicle space. One of the things to remember is that if we are focused on getting a deep breath, maybe we've been dealing with seasonal allergies. I'm pointing to outside because I keep noticing every time there's snow mold and leaf mold, or again, we've been really stressed, maybe anxious. We're going to be experiencing more tension here. And one of our instincts, weirdly, is to go and try and suck in breath up here. And it'll be hard and it'll feel restricted, which often makes us more anxious. So it's this vicious loop, right? So what I've found is one of the most effective ways to get that deep breath that we're talking about is to focus on the emptying, what I call compression and expansion, but I made it up. And we'll be doing that together on the mat in the coming weeks. But it's essentially just a pressing out of every drop of breath that you can, squeezing in, squeezing down if you're laying down on the mat doing it. Then what happens is nature, which abhors a vacuum, will fill you. And so the breath will breathe you, as I like to think of it. And if you're able to just allow it, and usually by the 2nd or 3rd round, it'll start to really make sense. The breath will breathe you, and it'll rise up into that upper lobe for you. And your whole body will get the message. I am safe, I am well, I am whole. Whatever other mantra or words you want to add to that that's affirming. But we want the breath, essentially, to send that message to our body, to our nervous system. So whether or not you're wanting to practice a large variety of yogic breaths and techniques to raise your chi, and again, we'll be doing some of that together, that's wonderful. But primarily I'm asking us all, number 1, please make a point of doing 3 breaths of awareness every day. Make that your minimum commitment. Maybe it's sitting at your bedside before your feet even hit the floor and you're out there in the world with others who may need you. Maybe it's sitting on your deck. One of my favorites is just having my warm mug of tea or coffee, maybe watching the steam rise in the sunlight, maybe listening to the morning sounds, especially with all the birds right now that are becoming active. And these things all help me get present with my breath. And when I say 3 breaths of awareness, I literally mean inhaling, witnessing it. You can even think inhaling if you'd like, and then noticing the pause, exhaling, noticing the pause. And my frequent kind of mantra to myself when I'm doing that is there more? So inhaling, noticing the sensation of breath filling me all over. Is there more? Gap, exhaling. Is there more? So it's my way of staying present with the breath. And yet, amazingly, my monkey or puppy mind will still jump in during those 3 breaths. It doesn't sound like much, but bam, my mind, especially lately, is very, very active, and off it will run. So it sounds like a very small commitment, but the effect can be huge. Just that choice. 3 breaths of awareness, allowing your body to settle into peace, allowing you to notice the pace of your mind, the quality of your thinking. It gives me a foundation from which to start my day, where I know I'm going to be my better self, my more compassionate self, my more intentional self. So wherever you pick in your life and space to do 3 breaths of awareness, I beg of you, make that your minimum commitment. And then you can expand into, say, doing a compression and expansion, that emptying and filling, if you want to do it laying down or seated, what have you. And I think throughout the day, just noticing when your breath is contracted. Oh, I feel tight here, or I've just been sitting in stillness reading, or at my computer, or whatever. Pausing and choosing deep abdominal breath. Just, you can even take your hands there. You know, where we bring touch, we bring awareness. So, and 3 sighing breaths we know can help calm our amygdala. Interestingly, it can actually help calm someone else's amygdala, which I think is really cool. So our alarm centers that get so fired up during times of change, times of not knowing, and how am I going to do this, and what am I going to do, and what's the right thing to do, and blah, 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 blah. Bing, 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 and our little amygdala starts going crazy, and instead we can just answer it. With sighing breath, ideally 3. The other thing we can answer it with, which is one of my favorites, I've already kind of referenced, is mantra. And so, as an example, when my mind is going crazy with how am I going to do this? How am I going to fix this? I can even feel the back of my neck tightening, the I've got a muscles, as I call the occipital ridge area. Oh, no, what am I going to do? One of my answers, when I realize there isn't a solution in the moment, there's nothing to be done, there's no action to be taken that makes sense, is I say, well, more shall be revealed. And it's been really fun over time to hear that that has worked for many of you, and that you use it, that you remembered it. And then when we use it, we notice a calm, right? The striving part of us softens. It brings us back to this present moment. As I like to say, my favorite mantra, this moment, this body, this breath. Right? It's the only thing that exists. So if we can resettle into that by using breath, by using mantra works for us, it's a powerful, again, foundation from which to extend thoughtfully when action really is appropriate, becomes appropriate again. So please consider what would be mantras that will particularly support you during this ever-changing landscape. Another one that was shared with me many years ago, that I know you use also, some of you, plenty of time, plenty of help, plenty of money. And I found that even when I don't actually believe it, when my mind is like, what's everybody saying? Just using it, just saying it changes the way I feel in here. So please use your body as your antenna. Notice when it's contracted, when it's tight, when it's stagnated, and ask, what can I do to shift that? Is it breath? Is it getting out in nature? Is it mantra? Is it jumping up and down? Right? So give some consideration to what tools might work well for you. It could be a fun thing to brainstorm about with loved ones or colleagues. And I will be, of course, joining you for yoga practice on the mat, which we always know makes us feel better when we do it. And I look forward to seeing you there. Namaste.